Hey guys, what's going on? Jeez, it is David here. We are back with another video. Now, in this video, guys, we will be talking about previewing the F1 2021 season. I'm going to be giving you my top 10 for the driver standings that I think is going to be at the end of the season, taking a look back at the F1 2020 season standings, and then also doing the same for the Constructors title, because I may have a shocker. I'm not even gonna lie. There's not gonna be a shocker. It's gonna be Mercedes, unless well, I mean, there's gonna be no. Is there gonna be a preseason? I don't really think there's gonna be a preseason. But when it comes to the F1 season, the first race will be in March, and it'll be in Bahrain, which I just want to say is a Mercedes trap, because that power unit, and Mercedes always have a power unit that's gonna be able to be number one best. Watch out, yeah, Mercedes are gonna win, but. In terms of the 2020 driver standings, final standings, the 2020 driver standings looked as this. Of course, Lewis Hamilton, who is going to be back at Mercedes. I've already talked about this. I think Lewis Hamilton's going to be back in Mercedes. He was the 2020 Drivers' World Champion. Second place was Valtteri Bottas, so Mercedes get a 1-2 in the drivers' titles, and they obviously they won the constructors. P3 was Max Verstappen, who finished third place. P4 in the title, in the final standings for the driver's title, was Sergio Perez, Verstappen's new teammate. If that's to go anything off of, Red Bull's going to be one to watch out for. Red Bull's going to be one to watch out for. P5 was Renault's, or now McLaren's own, Daniel Ricciardo, who finished P5. P6 was Ferrari's, now Carlos Sainz. P7 was Red Bull's former driver, that was Alexander Albon, and P8 was Charles Leclerc, who's going to be in the Ferrari. So, out of that top 8, how much is really going to change when it comes to who I think is going to win the driver's title for the 2021 season? Well, I don't really think anything's going to change when it comes to the number one spot. That's going to be Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, I predict, will be winning his eighth driver's title, and beating another Michael Schumacher record like he already has with this wins and poles. But P2 is going to be very interesting, because P2, I don't have Valtteri Bottas beating Max Verstappen. I don't have Valtteri Bottas finishing in P3. I do have Valtteri Bottas finishing below P3, but we'll talk about that later. But in P2, and battling Lewis Hamilton for the title, it's going to be it. I mean, it has to be obvious. It's not Charles Leclerc, because we don't even know how Ferrari going to do this season. It's Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen's the closest thing to Nico Rosberg that's been able to challenge Lewis Hamilton for the title. If Max Verstappen hadn't had all these bad lucks in the 2020 season, Max Verstappen would have finished second in the driver's standings. That tells you enough. Imagine if Max Verstappen was in that Mercedes seat. And apparently, Mercedes have been discussing with Lewis Hamilton on an anti-Verstappen clause, which means Verstappen would not be able to become Lewis's teammate, but if Lewis Hamilton were to retire, Mercedes would be able to go straight for Verstappen and get Verstappen in that car. Because if Verstappen right now is in that Mercedes seat, Lewis Hamilton is not winning this title. Lewis Hamilton is not winning this title. Max Verstappen is one of the best drivers in F1 right now. And if he was in the Mercedes seat, oh my god, him and Hamilton would probably take the constructors title. So I say a good 5 races left to go, because they would just be consistent on Mercedes unless they came to reliability problems, which Mercedes rarely have. So that's why I think Verstappen's going to finish P2 and give Hamilton a good shot in the title fight for the 2021 season. P3, however, it's not Valtteri Bottas, it's not Sergio Perez. It's the Ferrari, surprisingly, of Charles Leclerc. I feel like this Ferrari team will be a better team, considering now that they don't have Sebastian Vettel in there, because I feel like Sebastian was kind of dragging down the morale in the team towards the end of the season now that he's at Aston Martin. So I think Leclerc is going to be a lot better. The Ferrari car suits Leclerc's driving style, so it's going to be a very good thing. I actually do expect Ferrari to be better in the 2021 season, which is why I have Charles Leclerc finishing in P3. But P4, I have Valtteri Bottas, and this is going to be a season that Valtteri Bottas does not after this season. Valtteri Bottas will not be at Mercedes, because if my prediction is right, and I do say Valtteri Bottas finishes in P4, he can't be in a Mercedes seat. in a Mercedes car, you have to be at least top 3 in the driver's standings. And if my predictions actually come through, and Valtteri Bottas ends up finishing P4, I'm sorry, Valtteri Bottas, there's no way you're going to be in a Mercedes seat for next season. P5 is going to be Red Bull's second driver in Sergio Perez. He's going to edge out Carlos Sainz, who's going to finish in P6 for me. P7 is going to be Daniel Ricciardo in his first year for McLaren, so he's going to end up being his teammate. I mean, Ricciardo has so much more experience than Lando Norris, so it's going to be kind of obvious. P8, I have Sebastian Vettel in his first year for Aston Martin. He's going to be top driver there because he is a lot better. He has way more experience than Lance Stroll, and he's a much better driver than Lance Stroll. He's a 4-time world champion. Lance Stroll has never even won a championship in F1. P9, I have Lando Norris, so McLaren, 2 drivers in McLaren finish in top 10. And the last place driver I have finishing in P10 is going to be the returning Fernando Alonso. I feel like he obviously has way more experience. He's a lot older than Esteban Ocon. So I think like he's going to be the top driver in Renault. He's going to end up pulling out that last spot in the top 10. So what has changed from 2020 in terms of in terms of the standings from 2020 to 2021 in terms of my predictions? Lewis Hamilton stays the same. Valtteri Bottas loses 2 spots. Verstappen picks up a spot. Perez loses a spot. Ricciardo picks up 2 spots. Oh, wait. Sorry. I have this wrong. Hamilton stays the same. Bottas loses 2 spots. Verstappen picks up a spot. Perez loses a spot. Ricciardo loses 2 spots because I've been finishing in P7. Sainz stays the same because he finished P6 in the drivers, and I've been finishing P6 in this title. P7 is P7 for this year is Alexander Albon. Obviously, he's not going to be in Formula 1, so he's going to lose 13 spots. And then, obviously, Leclerc finished in P8 from last season. I have Leclerc picking up 8 spots in the driver standings. So that's my driver standings. Now, in terms of the constructors' titles for F1, Mercedes obviously won last year. It was Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, Racing Point, Renault, Ferrari, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Haas, and then Williams. What's going to change in terms of the constructors? Well, if you guys took a look at the way I had the driver standings, then it should be kind of obvious. Mercedes are going to win the Constructors' Championship. And what would this be? Their seventh or 8th consecutive Constructors title, which would just be unbelievable. Red Bull finishing in P2 because I have Verstappen and Perez finishing P5. If Perez happens to end up being Bottas, there's a very good shot that Red Bull could be in that Constructors fight, but I don't see that happening. Ferrari with Leclerc and Sainz finishing in P3 and P6. I have finishing in 3rd in the Constructors titles. McLaren finishing next in P4. So McLaren would lose a spot in terms of where they finished last season because they finished P3 in last season's Constructors titles. P5, I have Aston Martin just beating out Renault due to Vettel finishing in 8th place and Alonso finishing in 10th place. Renault finishing in 6th, obviously, it's not Renault anymore, it's Alpine. Alpine finishing in P6, which is a 1 spot below because they finished 5th last year as Renault. So P7 being AlphaTauri, Pierre Gasly, and I think what's his name, Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda being AlphaTauri. I have no idea how to skin that team. P8 being Haas. I think Haas is going to be a lot better than they were last season due to Ferrari putting a lot more into their team now. P9 being Williams. Williams, I think, will score a point. I think George Russell will finally be able to be the one that scores a point for Williams. And P10, I have Alfa Romeo due to Ferrari putting a lot more focus in Haas than Alfa Romeo. I think Haas is going to pick up a lot more this season. And so, yeah, that's the Constructors' titles. In terms of the last season to this season, my differences, Mercedes and Red Bull stay the same. Ferrari picks up 3 spots. McLaren loses a spot. Racing Point or Aston Martin now loses a spot. Renault loses a spot. AlphaTauri stays the same. And Alfa Romeo, who ended up finishing P8 in the Constructors' titles, they will lose 2 spots, obviously finishing last. But in terms of that, that's my F1 2021 predictions for the season. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification so you know my videos go live. But anyway, guys, I will see you guys all later with another video. Peace.